What's up, people? This your boy, Humble Dad. Welcome back to another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. This is going to be a good one. I really enjoy talking to people that I have never talked to before because I get to gauge and understand a perspective that I may or may not have, and also to learn more about somebody that is the same or different than me. And I noticed this young man when he made a comment to a show that I was on, and I reached out to him, but at the same time, I went to go look at his content, and I saw that we were of a similar, of the cloth, if you will. And I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? We've been trying to put some times together, and now the time is here. And I want to welcome none other than Mr. Developing Dad. What's up, homie?
What's going on? Glad to be here with you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Listen, do you read for people? Like, you know what I'm saying? The voice that you got, you should be reading for somebody.
You know what's funny? I actually tried my hand at reading Amazon ebooks, but I read to my children all the time. So I've been reading to them since they've been able to, understand. And I come up with voices and stuff like that. My daughters love it. So yeah, I do a little voice acting for my children. But and I
Okay.
have a couple of I've been doing impressions since I was a little kid, but I really do enjoy reading and expressing myself, and I guess that's probably what you're seeing on my channel.
Yeah, bro. Like I heard it. You know what I'm saying? I heard it. So let's get started, man, and we'll talk more about your kids. So the first question I always ask, what's the difference between what do you think or feel think is the difference between a father and a dad?
Okay. So I'm always, me. If you know me, I like to define terms. So that's an interesting question. I like that question. So I think if you want to differentiate between a father and a dad, I would say a dad is someone who is endearing to the children, right? So you get from the children someone who is there all the time, who is in their lives, who is making a difference. You get that endearing term, dad, right? A father is someone who has provided. I guess if we want to look at it this way, and I'm just making a distinction based on popular culture and the ideas behind it, but a father is someone who may provide the seed, but may not actually be there. So the biological distinction is, yeah, you created the child, but are you raising it, right? And then the I guess in the scriptures you would see that term is Abba Father. We call God Abba Father. It's more of a term of endearment. And we use a term dad as that term of endearment. So I would say a dad is someone who's dear, and I like to use alliteration. A dad who's dear, right, and a father may be far, right. So I'll use
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay. I see you. I see you. You like the wordplay. Okay, you like the wordplay. That's what's up. So as we talk about dad and father, who was that to you? Talk to me about when you were adolescent. We're talking
Hmm.
about in between 5 to, middle school age.
Yeah. So I was raised by my dad, and that's all I know. Like when it comes to father figures, so I know I'm Michael James Griffin Jr. He's Michael James Griffin. When you listen to us, you watch our mannerisms, you see the things that I'm doing in my life. I'm almost a carbon copy of him in every way except looks. Right? He's like 5'8", 5'9". I'm 6'1".
Okay.
I look more like my mom. As I've gotten older, I look more like him. But that's Michael James Griffin. Like my dad, my father is also my dad, and my parents have been married. Praise the Lord, have been married 44 years this December. So I've been raised. I was raised by them. Saw him again. I talked about this on another video. My dad is actually at this point in his life legally blind, and he's had astigmatism and nystagmus, so it's an eye disorder that causes him to have to struggle to focus,
Yeah.
right? And this man raised all five of his children as a pharmacist for almost 30 years with that disability. Most people would take disability and sit on their butts. This man went to work sometimes 60, 70 hours a week as a retail pharmacist to
Wow.
make sure that we had the type of life that he didn't have.
Wow.
And so that's why when someone's asking me, well, who's father, who's dad, it's the man whom I'm named after. I wouldn't be where I am today without him.
So what are some of the things that you can say in between that time of adolescency that you say, okay, this was a time that I remember distinctly and I learned this from him?
Oh, Well, there's so many things.
Yeah.
So the diligence with which he went to work every morning, his faithfulness to the church. He was also a minister. So his faithfulness to the church, his faithfulness to my mother and to us. He made sure that
Mm,
we never went without. There were times, where I would see him physically, like coming home at like 8 or 9 o'clock after he's gone to work. He left at 6, and then he's worked a 10 to 12 hour shift, and then gone to the church and done some stuff over there that needed to be done. But then also came home, and would sit with us, talk with us, things like that. So it was just the everyday mundane things, which is why I point that out on my channel. Is the mundane things done consistently over time that make the biggest difference. So I can't point to a specific instance of like, oh, he did this one thing. All I know is that he was consistent every day for the entire time that I was in that house. And that's why I'm pretty much the same way. I'm a carbon copy of him. I try to do mundane things every day and in hope and prayerfully hope that those things are the things that my children remember about me.
How many kids do you have?
I have 5. Same,
Oh, so
same
you're a
as him.
carbon copy.
My brother beat me though. My brother has 6. So
Okay.
yeah, my younger brother, he has 6. So he went one above the both of us.
That's what's up. What's the ages?
So mine are 16, 11, 10, 7, and about to be 5 in February.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I have 4.
Okay.
I have 4. They're 12, 10, 8 today. One is 8 today.
All right. Happy birthday.
Yeah, Ethan's birthday is today. He says that he feels like he's 9 because he's tall. He's the same height as his
That's all
brother that's
right.
10.
That's how kids measure it though, right? My daughter thinks she's older than her friends because she's taller than them.
Yeah.
But that's not how
That
it
ain't how
works.
it goes. Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. And then I have a 3-year-old who thinks that she's older than everybody in the house. Yeah,
The youngest one always tries to rule everything. Even
absolutely.
my daughter's the same way. She doesn't do it with force, but she tries to get her way in very subtle ways. She's so cute. She thinks that she can get her way all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what my kid as well. Okay, so as we travel through, you get to high school.
Hmm.
What was the event in high school that you remember having a conversation with your dad about that sticks with you today?
So we talked about pretty much everything. So around the time that I was about 13, 14, 15 years old, I began riding home from church with him.
Okay.
So these were the times for me to talk about anything with him, and he would listen. He would offer sound counsel, sometimes sharp and harsh counsel. So there was one time that I liked this girl who I shouldn't have been liking. She had no future that my dad wanted me to join in on. Right. So let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And he told me, he's like, look, I'm gonna tell you this. You need to get over that. You need to get over her right now, because you're not like that's not who you're gonna marry. And you're in here sad about some girl who's off doing stuff with guys and I don't want to put people on blast, but like she's doing stuff with guys that she shouldn't be doing.
We
Y'all are
don't know who
teenagers.
she is, bro.
Right. I know. I'm just saying, but I ain't, I don't know who's gonna see this. But
Okay, I feel
but you know what I'm
saying.
saying? Like he's telling me, like, look, get it together, suck it up, be a man about this, and you've got maybe 10 to 15 years before you actually have to worry about getting married. You're 13. Like suck it up. And he just, I mean, he really, there was no, so harsh words were things that if I was in need of them, he gave them to me.
That's
Right. And that was formative for me, because I had to realize everybody, not like these women out here are not for you. Don't go chasing after them. Like, you get yourself right, and then they'll come after you. Right. So he was like, look, man, stop being so soft. Like, that was basically what he told me. Stop being so soft. Yeah.
And so, what made you respond to that particular statement, or did you take that advice, or did you rebel?
Oh, it
like
took
prodigal
a
son?
while. It took a while for me
Okay.
to get it, because there were multiple times as I'm going, because a lot of the things that I was learning, I was getting competing ideas. So from television, as I'm watching TV, I'm getting, you need to be sweet as a guy, you need to be all these other things, you need to bow before the woman, you need to do all of this stuff, and she's supposed to be your world and everything. You make everything right for her,
Treated like a
and
queen.
Right, treat her like a queen. But then again, what they're not telling you is to be a king, how to be a king,
Right.
how to, right?
Right.
And the Bible's teaching us how to rule, how to be an authority, how to be godly men. And then your queen comes along, yeah, and she's the one that's your suitable helper. But I was getting very contradictory ideas from the TV and then from my dad. So
Yeah.
it took me a while to strip away a lot of that bad those bad ideas that I was getting from television. It wasn't until I was in my like early 30s that yeah, man, like it was really bad. Like I actually had a lot of like simping. And I'm telling people, like I'm telling you,
Hey.
I told them on my live. I said, man, I know what simping is because I
Yes.
did it. Like I
Yes.
did it from the time I was like 13 till I was about 30.
Facts,
Right.
bro.
Right. And because I'm getting these competing ideas, the world is telling you one thing, and you're like, well, okay, this is how you get women. And my dad's married. I was like, he don't know what he's talking about. But it wasn't until I
Obviously, he
was,
just
yeah,
married, but he don't
right.
know.
He just married, right? Married for 40 plus years, right? And, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was hard headed.
Yeah.
So you don't listen, and then when you get into a marriage, you still have all these bad ideas, and you and your wife are trying to like work through it. It's just so many dangerous ideas out there. And it wasn't until I actually started to read the Bible and realize, wait a minute, like the Bible is teaching me something completely different. It's affirming what my dad was saying all this time. The world is the one that's causing me all the problems.
Yeah.
So that was my what people call their red pill moment. It was for me. It was salvation through Jesus Christ. That was when I realized, oh, I'm reading this Bible, and this Bible is telling me like be a man. Like that's why I end my show the way I ended with 1 Corinthians 16:13, right? Be on alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong.
Mm.
Right? That's what Paul tells men in the Corinthian church. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, bro. That's exactly when it happened for me because I was definitely a simp for sure because I was trying to cater to the woman. But
Mm,
that's totally different than like there is a particular time to cater to
right.
your woman,
To
right?
your wife, right.
To your wife, right? And so that's what it was for me when I started reading the Bible. Um, it was I had already that's what it was. When I started reading the Bible, my mindset started changing in how to kind of get ready for marriage. It was like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be married, but I didn't see no good marriages. So it's like, how do I want marriage, even though I don't see any good ones. And then I started reading the Bible, and then things and my perspective started to change. But in my marriage at the beginning, I kind of struggled because in my mind, we needed to be together all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts needed to be the same, right? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then I said, because the Bible said we're supposed to be one. You know,
Right,
that's
right,
what it
right, right,
say.
right.
That's what I'm
Bro,
telling you.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. You know how many like during the first maybe 3 years of my marriage, how many times we were on the brink of divorce? Because it's like you're like I'm trying to like yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I got so many bad ideas in my head. I'm like, we supposed to be one, ain't supposed to be no division between the two of us. Like, and then I'm trying to force all of that to happen. And she's like, well, you ain't about to tell me what to do. It's like I'm like, it was a mess, man.
Yeah.
And it's like only by the grace of God through like we've been married, coming up 12 years next week,
Let's get it.
right? And the Lord's been gracious, man. Like so now we're actually like we're in a good groove. Like we can talk to one another. Communication is better. So many things have been better just from me reading the scriptures. I started reading them probably around the second to third year of our marriage because I
Wow.
went into marriage. Yeah, I went into marriage thinking I knew everything.
Ain't that
Right?
something?
Oh, come on, man. I thought I was I thought I was Mr. Know It All. My parents been married all this time. I just got it by osmosis. That's what I thought, right? I ain't gonna have to work at this. I got it by osmosis. I just know. I just look at what my parents did.
Yeah.
Man, it's only by the grace of God that my wife didn't walk out on me, like
That
just
yeah. The
and
first
have
six
good
months for
reason.
me, the first 6 months for us, it was like, why did we get married? and
Yes,
then
right.
what happened for us was that we saw another couple that was having some issues like us, and we was like, oh, okay, like we're not the only ones having this
Mm-hmm.
particular issue. So then, therefore, how can we get better at it? So at the church that I was at, they did marriage, like a marriage council or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and so that kind of also helped us as well. As we transition back to dads.
Yeah.
How do you think? How do you think? Uh, no, that's not the question. When you first had your first kid, obviously,
Hmm.
what was going through your mind?
So much. All right. So when my wife called me and told me, because I was actually on a business trip in Tampa,
Okay,
right? And we weren't married at the time, right?
okay,
She was just my girlfriend, and she was kind of like, I let her stay in my place, which I had never done before. I let her stay in my place while I was gone. To me
you
that
trusted
meant,
her a lot.
yeah, I trusted her a whole lot, right? That to me that I was already thinking about marriage, right?
Mm,
So she calls me and tells me, you know, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm like, this is where I'm in the car right after lunch. Like I just come, but we just had our the group of guys that were up there. I was in my car. She texted me, and I'm like, so life just got real now. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Life just got real now. Like ain't no more playing.
yeah,
This was no games, no jokes. This is this is real.
yeah,
And so I mean that I had it was an excitement, but it was also a hollow feeling because I'm
yeah.
thinking, can I do this? Like, am I capable of doing this? Because I know I'm selfish. Like, I'm all about me.
Facts.
And now my life is going to have to be geared towards this woman and this child that's on the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, now a lot of people do not know this, and it's going to be coming out on another live. But my wife already had a son, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah,
she
yeah,
came. So we're a blended family, right? She had a 4-year-old son
yeah.
already.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So now I'm dad of a child who's already, because, and to me, to my mind, that means we're getting married, right?
Okay.
I was pushing it. I was already thinking about it, but I was like, okay, now ain't no like half stepping.
Wow.
We get married, right? We have to do this,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not about to be a baby daddy. Like that's not what I do. I don't do
Why
that.
not? Why not? What
Be-
makes you?
I knew so I didn't want my sons or daughters, because I knew all the statistics. I had seen it growing up, of like the church where I was, most of the children there did not have fathers. And I saw
Okay.
what their lives were like, and how so this is one of the crazy things, man. The children at the church that were my age and maybe a little bit younger, they gravitated towards my dad. They would call they loved him because he cared about them so much, right? He was their father figure. Like, he was
Gotcha.
my father, but he was their father figure for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I realized that I didn't want my children. I wanted my children to have what I had, not what they had. And whatever sacrifices I needed to make, that was going to happen, because I saw the deficiency. And they will tell you, like, most of them have gone on to be married and to have their own children, and they're in a solid nuclear family now,
Yeah.
and they realized themselves what they were missing, and they didn't want their children to experience that as well.
That's
So I'm like,
dope.
well, my dad gave me, my dad and my mom and my dad gave me their entire life. I'm the firstborn.
Okay.
They dedicated their lives to the five of us. They put a lot of things on the back burner and gave up a lot to make sure that we were taken care of. And I'm thinking, there's no way that my dad and my mom did that. And then again, one of the things that's really crazy is that I'm my dad comes from a line of outlaws and bootleggers. He's a second generation what preachers on one side, but outlaws and bootleggers on one side.
Wow.
So he's
Saints
like
and sinners.
yeah, he's the
Saints and sinners.
second generation
Wow.
father who actually stayed with his children. I learned that from my uncle. My uncle told me that. And I was like, wow. So this is generation 3 of that happening. And I'm saying, I'm not going to be the one that breaks that chain,
Facts.
right? I can't do that to my children, right?
Okay.
And then I loved my wife. My wife and I had already started a business together, and she was very loyal in that. Like, she wasn't my wife at the time or my girlfriend, but we had started a business together, and she was very helpful and loyal in that. And I saw what type of wife she would be.
Mm.
And so when
Oh.
I
Oh.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So this
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
random.
Mm.
She had proven herself already as a godly woman who would, be the type of wife that would help me to build a heritage. And she was all about legacy and heritage. Now, we both had made mistakes, and we were doing what we did, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
the reason why I said I wasn't going to be a baby dad, because I couldn't do that to my children after what I had seen growing up from from other, and then just the legacy perspective. I wasn't going to do that to
Yeah.
my kids because my dad and my mom had done that for me.
And the reason why I ask is because, I want people to, men in particular, that are, they say it's not a large percentage. Even if it's not a large percentage, I want guys to understand what it is that they're missing out on by
Mm,
not being in their kids' lives. Just because, even if they don't like the baby mama, even though, I mean, you liked her enough to lay down with her, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just crazy to me.
that's facts.
It's
That's
just,
facts.
it's just crazy to me, the logic behind that, right?
Right.
And so I thank you for that, and that was really good to say, as well as your dad also having the legacy of teaching others, right? So now,
Mm-hmm.
because he was a mentor, which some of us get away from just because we don't have kids, and that means we can't be mentors, which is that's crazy as well. Because if you want things to change, then you got to be the change you want to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your dad did that,
Yeah.
right? So your dad did that, and so that's dope. So as we go into, you have your daughters. So you have,
Three
yeah,
sons, two daughters.
okay, three sons, two daughters. Okay, so as we get into the point of you having your kids, now this life changing event takes place. Were you in the labor room?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
talk
I've
to me
seen.
about
Oh,
that moment.
oh man. Okay, so I'm glad you asked these questions. So, all right, I'm gonna give you four birth stories. I'm
Bet.
gonna give you, no,
Well,
maybe I'll save it.
remember you gotta leave, not me.
I'm
You
gonna
know
say
what
I know. I'm gonna save it. So I'm gonna just save it with the first one. Just because this is the first one. Man,
Yeah.
the first time I saw like my son being born, right? Come on, he knows. Look, Derek said it. Derek put it up there. I cried. Like I didn't even realize, man. I'm like I hugged the doctor. I gave the doc like, bro. Like after I hugged my wife, I was like, I'm crying, like tears full. I'm hugging the doctor. I gave the doctor a kiss. I'm hugging the nurses and everybody. It was so moving, just seeing my wife give birth.
Yes.
I'm sitting right. I'm loving every moment of this.
Were you? Or you stood behind the curtain?
Oh no, no, no. My wife gave natural. Yeah, I saw everything.
Ah,
Yeah, my
oh, you
wife was
bold,
natural.
bro.
All five of them. Yeah,
That's
all
bold,
five of
bro.
them. Now,
Yeah,
one crazy thing. I'm gonna leave this as a teaser for the next time we talk. Right?
bet.
Maybe I'll do that. I missed one of my children's births, but I also, but God willing, the next one, the Lord allowed me to be the one to deliver her. I delivered her.
Hey, that's a double entendre right there.
Right. I delivered her. Yes. Now my wife had epidurals for the two sons, the three sons, but
Wow.
she went straight, like no drugs whatsoever for the last two, none at all,
She a G. What?
bruh.
That's crazy.
We gonna
That's
do it. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. She
Okay.
went straight, nothing for the last two, nothing.
That's impressive.
One
Okay.
of them, one of them, she delivered by herself.
Okay.
That's
Listen.
what. That's how I missed it. She delivered her by herself. Nobody was there. Nobody. I ain't gonna tell you the full story. I'm gonna tell you.
You don't have to. That is, well, I'm like, when know how, if you do interviews, right? You're trying to find the next question, but when they hit you with they hit you with something where you gotta like think about what you trying to process what they just said.
Yep.
I'm trying to
Yep.
get to my next question. That's crazy.
Talking about a G. I'm like, I can't do anything to top that. I can't do anything to
Yeah,
top
you
that.
you can't, bro. She already giving child. She already giving birth, but then she having by
Right.
herself.
Yep. She delivered her by herself.
Okay, bet. So then we get into the points of fatherhood, right? We get into the points of fatherhood. They're all there, all five. What would you say has been the struggle of having
Hmm.
five, and what have you seen as the blessing for the
Oh,
father?
yeah. So let me start off with the struggle. All right. Then
Sure.
I'm gonna go to the blessing. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it that
That's
way.
on you, bro. Yeah.
Right. The struggle is we're all sinners. Right. So I have five kids in here with their own sin issues.
Talk
They
to
have
him.
specific ways that they sin, and I have to be the one to guide them through all of this.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be a struggle, right? Because I'm not even I'm not perfect. I got my own struggles. So I'm trying to be the one to say, okay, you know what? I see in him me, or I see in her me. Ugh.
And probably that sin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I see that sin, the same one I'm dealing with, I see it in them.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. Okay, so I can't be too hard on them because it's in the natural, I want to be hard on them. I'm like, you know that's going to be the thing that, brings you down to Sheol. But then I have to say, wait a minute. God was gracious with me, patient with me,
Yeah.
still is,
Yeah.
because I'm not perfect yet, right? And I won't be perfected until glory. So
Right.
so how do I address this with all the seriousness that it deserves, but also with an eye to the fact that I'm not perfect and I need the same grace that from the Lord that they need.
And when do I
So
do the discipline then?
and when I do right, and the crazy thing is, like I have to be mindful of the fact that a child left to himself will bring shame to his mother, right? That's what the scriptures say. So if I leave them to themselves, if I turn a blind eye to him, then they're gonna bring shame upon the family. So I have to act, right? So how do I act in a godly way? So that's the struggle, dealing with my own sin, but also dealing with the sins of somebody
Dude,
else.
I had the same. Listen, I've never asked anybody that question, but I had wrestled with that
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I'm struggling with a sin, but then here my kid is having similar sin. So
Mm-hmm.
how is it that I need to provide grace, or is it discipline? You know what I'm saying? Is it mercy? Like, what do I
Yeah.
supposed to be doing right
Right.
now?
And it's crazy because the God says that the discipline is a grace in Hebrews chapter 12. The
Okay.
discipline is the grace. So
Mm,
we have to do the discipline, and its discipline will seem unpleasant to those who are being shaped by it. That's what Hebrews
right.
says. So
Right.
I have to discipline, and me leaving them by themselves because you feel like a hypocrite, right? Like I'm still struggling with this. So how
Yes.
am I going to be all up on them about it?
Why you
But
preaching to me, bro?
but
Okay.
it's crazy because I'm still I'm still struggling with this too. This is not I'm not because I never present myself. I hope I don't present myself as someone who's got it all
Me
figured out.
too, man.
That's why the name is developing dad,
And that's why mine is humble, Dad.
right? Because I'm like I'm in the present participle, right?
Mine is
Developing,
what I'm aspiring to be.
right.
That's
So
crazy. We have the same.
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah. So that's the mindset. I have to discipline them, or if I don't, then I leave them. Well, so this is what discipline looks like to me. So discipline is ultimately going to come, right? Either it's going to come from God or it's going to come from me. And
yeah,
what picture am I painting of them when I discipline them? I need to be painting the picture of God to them.
yeah,
Like this is how God's going to discipline you. He's
yeah,
going to be loving, but he's going to be firm.
yeah,
And he's not going, and you're not going to be able to get with him. You're not going to be able to get over on him. He knows your thoughts and your intentions. I
right.
only know patterns. I can go to the scriptures and say, I know what this pattern looks like, but I don't know your thoughts and intentions. But as I grow in the scriptures, I can figure out what these patterns are saying about what's in your heart, right?
Yeah,
Because Matthew 15 says, whatever's in the heart comes out of the mouth.
mm-hmm.
And this is what defiles a person,
Yeah,
sexual immorality, all of these other things. So
yeah.
I can tell what's going on in your heart by what you're doing.
And the heart
And
is
I have,
deceptive,
and it is so deceptive, right?
deceitful.
That
You know?
Jeremiah 17:9, right? It's
Mhm.
so deceitful. Because again, I have to check my heart to say, okay, now you disciplining them, but make sure that you're not doing it with pride or with anger. And you are painting the picture of a loving God who's merciful, gracious, kind, but also firm and will not let the wickedness go unpunished. So I
Mm.
have to be consistent in my discipline, right? It's so
Talk
much.
that talk.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
consistent discipline.
yeah.
I know I cut you off, but that is
No, it's fine.
the consistent discipline applies in every aspect of life.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm needing to be consistent in my discipline with my kids, I also need to be consistent in my discipline for myself, as we're talking about reading the text, praying,
Yep. Yep.
fasting, whatever those things are,
Yeah.
about your Christian walk. If I'm trying to build a business, if I'm trying to build my relationships, consistent discipline. Listen,
Yes.
hey, you need to go make that a shirt, bro. If you don't, I will.
No, go
Okay,
ahead, make it a shirt. Make it a shirt.
like that.
I'm not even to that point yet where I'm getting merchandise yet. I
That is.
haven't even gotten to that point.
Hey, that's dope, man. So so now take me to the blessing.
All
I
right.
had a thought. I
So the
know I cut you
blessing.
off on that thought, but I'm trying to
No,
move.
no, it's good.
Your
It's all
time is
good.
your
This is all
time, so
good.
I'm trying to honor your
Yes,
time.
it's all good.
Okay.
So the blessing of it is I have 5 children. The Bible says clearly in Psalm 127, starting at verse 3, right?
Go ahead.
Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of
Yeah,
the womb of reward. Blessed
yeah.
is the man whose quiver is
Cool,
filled with
cool.
him,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
the crazy thing is my mom comes from 13 children.
My mom
My
comes from
mom is
8.
113. Come
My
on.
mom is one of 8.
My mom's one of 13. My
That's a
dad is
lot.
one of 6.
That's how it
Right?
was back then.
Yeah,
Right?
that's how it was back then. And I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking,
We're gonna have to
wow.
talk about why did it change. We can talk
I
about that
know.
at a
Yeah, we'll
different day.
talk about it. Just invite me back. You
Yes,
got
sir.
me whenever you want me. Just come
Yes,
on.
sir.
Just say, oh, we got
Same
Monday.
here,
This
bro.
could
Let
be
me
our
know,
time,
man.
right? Yeah. Whenever you need
Yeah,
me, just holler back. All right.
yeah,
So, but the blessing is I have 5 children, and that's the blessing. So I have now my children have they have siblings, right? I have a heritage that's going to go on for generations, Lord willing. So there could be Griffins 10 generations down the line that are still worshiping the Lord based on what I do today. And in so doing, the Lord will be honored because He's the one that gave them to me. He gave them to me for a specific reason. One, to humble me, right? That's the first thing, right? You get to see yourself. You're like, oh man, is that what
yeah,
that's what I'm like? Oh, that's what I was like, or that's what I'm still like, right?
yeah, yeah.
The blessing is just I mean, I can't even express it all because the best thing that to say is I have 5 children.
Yeah,
That's the blessing.
yeah.
And I would trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it not a near one of them for
Bro,
anything.
bro, when we had marriage counseling, and the counselor asked how many did I want, I said one. Right.
Mm,
My wife said, she said four. I think she had said four, 3 or 4. And they was like, why you want one? I said, because I know how I was.
mm,
You know, I was like, I know how I was. But now that I have 4, I'm like, I would not want it differently.
yeah,
Even the only thing that I would want is for her to be here
yeah,
to help me with them. But as
right,
far as how many, man,
yeah,
it is a blessing.
yes, it
I
is.
mean, and if we begin to talk about our kids, we then even begin to see who they are, even in their good. Like, we talk about
Yeah,
them being sinners, but we can talk about how good they are as individuals. Like,
yeah,
like my 12-year-old, she is her mother. She is meaning she has the sweetness, and then she has
mm-hmm,
me, who is that cynical dude. Like, well, her
yeah,
mom was cynical, but I'm mine is more heavier,
right. You're on a,
right? Mine's
on a
a
different
more
level.
heavy. You know what I mean? She is logical, emotional. Like, she's that type of young lady. She's learning. She's wanting to learn how to cook. She wants to be a wife. She's
Mm,
12, bro, and
come
wants
on.
to be a wife, right?
Ooh,
And then I mean, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's how
yeah,
her mom had developed her. You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Praise the
And,
Lord.
and then my son, Joshua, who is he's 10, he wants a family. Like,
Mm,
he
come
wants a
on.
family. You know what I'm saying? And like he is the athletic of me, but he is the gamer like his
Yeah,
mom,
yeah, yeah.
right? Then you have Ethan, who is he's not athletic, but he's an intellect.
Mm-hmm.
At 8, I'll tell you this.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you, like all of them are intelligent, but they all think that Ethan is really smart.
Mm,
Okay, his older brother and sister think that he is really smart.
wow.
Think about that
Yeah,
for
they
right.
recognize right. They recognize the gifting. Yeah.
That's crazy. So when my wife passed, his mom passed. The day that I told him, he said he cried for 30 seconds maybe, and then um, he said, so are you gonna get another wife? I said, what? And then 3 weeks, I said, dude, I'm not even in that space. Like, so 3 weeks later, I said, bro, do you remember when you said what you said? He said, yes, I do remember. I said, why did you ask me that? He said, because I didn't want you to be lonely.
Mm, come on.
At 7,
Yeah.
he's,
Wow. Yeah.
you know what I'm
That's enough to make you break down crying, right?
saying? Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I was like,
Right.
what?
Wow.
And then my baby girl, she's like, I can have a full conversation with her at 3, and she even recognizes that her mom is gone.
Mm,
And when we begin, anybody of us start crying, she comes along and starts hugging us.
yeah.
Just recently, she would pat her brother on the chest to
Wow.
make him feel better.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that, for me, for my kids, that have helped me in my one of my stressful moments of
Yeah.
life. You know what I'm saying? So that's that positive thing that when you talk about pouring into your kid,
Mm-hmm.
what you'll see the fruits of
Yeah. That's
from
right.
that. So that's
And
why you say that blessing.
think about the fact that if you didn't have all 4, each one of them blessed you in a different way since your wife's passing.
Facts.
Each one of them.
Facts.
Right? And that's a different personality, that's a different beautiful soul that God is using to strengthen you to encourage you,
Yeah.
and to make your life, like, make this process something that where joy can come from it out of their mouths,
Yeah.
right? Just, and again, that they're a picture of her. They're a
Yeah.
picture of her, and they remind you of her, right? It's
Yeah.
just so again, children are. That's why the Lord says children are a blessing. Children are a heritage, and they're a reward. Everybody doesn't get them, and everybody, when they get them, they don't honor what God has given to them. It's nothing
Man.
better than being married with children, man. Nothing better.
Woo! Now that show was horrible. But when we talk about, you know what I'm saying, married with children, like it is nothing,
Right,
it is nothing like it. It's a
right.
beautiful thing, bro.
Look, it took me a second to get that. I was like, yeah, you talking about the show.
I was like, why?
I ain't about to act like I didn't see it though.
I'm like, did I say I'm pretty funny? Like that. That was a good one. Ain't you
Mm.
laughing?
It took me a second. Look, remember I told you I went to bed at 2 and woke
Right.
up at 6.
Right.
Actually, it was later than 2. It was like 2:30, 2:45. So I'm yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. I feel you, bro. No problem. No
Took
problem.
me a
It,
second.
it
Took me
happens
a
to me
second.
too. It happens though. It happens.
I know.
It felt like one of those moments, like when you're trying to spell a word and it's an easy one,
Mm-hmm.
but you just can't. It
Right. Like,
it just
yeah.
it just don't go together. You know what I'm saying?
My wife will always do that. She'll like, what? How you spell this word? And I'm like, really? I'm like, I'll spell it. I'm like, okay. And you know why it's funny? Because my wife is so much better with language. She speaks languages fluently. She is grammar. She's grammar queen, grammar.
Ah,
All that thing. And I'm like, you asking me to spell a word? Like
that's
she
funny.
knows all the spelling rules by heart. Like you asking me? Like, okay, good luck with that.
That's hilarious for sure, man. As we for sure. So what would you say is the kind of the attributes that you see in your children
Hmm.
that are the same as you?
Well, thankfully, they've taken some good ones, but I'll talk about some of the bad ones too.
That's up to you.
Right? I'll talk about it all. I mean, I ain't trying to hide anything.
Okay.
I'm gonna hide some stuff, but I ain't gonna. But I
Okay.
think so. One of the things I think that they're very all of them, like you say, your children, they're very. My children are the same way. They're very intelligent, right? So they love to read. They love math. They love logic. They love rhetoric. They love whatever. Generally, like my boys want to be just like me, which I find crazy. I'm like, you want to be like me? I'm trying to make you better than me.
Facts.
So I'm giving them things that I've learned over the past 5 years. I'm giving it to them now.
Yes.
So all of the stuff that you see me posting, my sons watch all of my videos.
That's dope.
Yeah, they watch them all. They ask to watch them all.
That's
They
dope.
want to hear what their dad has to say. So which is great because they're getting stuff that I didn't get until I was in my 30s. They're getting
Yeah.
it at 10 and 11 and
Yeah.
12 up to 16. So I see the fact that they love learning, they love to read. Those are things that I think they picked up from both my wife and I. I think the fact that my son, the son who's named after me, this is one of the bad things, right? He's very like I was when I was a kid. Nothing really, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's something that we're gonna work on with him.
Yeah.
He's very emotional as a kid. Like he's very emotional. Sometimes so that it paralyzes him. So last night, I put my arms around him. We were watching the Kansas City game, and he was just having a tough time, like emotionally, just having like some things that gone on throughout the day. His sisters had frustrated him. There were things that were going on, and I just realized something. The Lord kind of just like put it on my heart to just. He was sitting right here, actually sitting right here, and I just wrapped my arms around behind him, and I said, I love you, right? And he broke down crying, but for joyous reasons. Because I think in that moment he needed to hear me encourage him because he had had such a bad day. And I
Yeah.
just told him, I said, I love you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you. And
That's-
and that was it. I didn't say anything else. But the look on his face, and I could tell that meant a lot to him.
Hey, that I'm proud of you thing, bro,
Yes.
is big.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? And I even gotten to the point. I think I've commented on your video about that. I said I need to be more encouraging to my sons and daughters. Like you had mentioned that on one of your videos, and I said, yeah, man, I got to do that, do a lot better with that.
Isn't that
And
what
I've
our
been
Father
trying to.
does to us, though? Our
Yeah.
Heavenly Father encourages us.
Yes.
So much
Exactly.
so, Scripture says, like, He's going to say, well done, thy good and faithful servant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Right.
that's a statement of I'm proud of you.
Right.
You
And
know,
I
when
look, and I'm thinking about that. I mean, you proud of me, Lord? Right? I'm like, all of the stuff that I've done, you proud of
and
me? Right.
listen, I told my homie the same thing what you're saying. I said,
Yeah.
dude, like I'm struggling, just doing what God asked me to do right now, and He's
Mm-hmm.
still blessing me with these things.
Right.
And this is what He said to me. He said, "Could you please point to me somebody in the Scripture, men of faith, that didn't struggle? Please, could you do
Mm-hmm.
that for me?"
Right.
And I was
There's
like,
only one.
"That's what He said."
There's only
He
one.
said,
There's
"It's
only
only
one.
one."
Right.
I said, "Okay, that's what you're gonna do to me.
Right.
I guess I gotta listen to that." You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Look, that's what the iron sharpening iron right there, right?
Absolutely.
And he
All right.
probably did it in such a loving way, right? Just asking
Oh,
that question. They're like, can you find me one person in the scriptures that didn't struggle?
yes,
Right.
exactly. All right. This has been good, man. I'm gonna get to these next questions. These are gonna be my last 5 questions. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. So before we get into that, kind of tell the people a little bit where they can, find you at.
All right, so yeah, if you want to find me, you can just search "Developing Dad" in YouTube, and you'll find my YouTube channel there. You can type youtube.com/c/Developing Dad Podcast. Obviously, all one word. You can find me on Instagram, Developing Dad, all one word. Yeah, and then I think those are the two places. I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it much, and I'm on Facebook, but I don't use that much either. And at Developing Dad, all of these places, I'm all over the place. I think I have a TikTok. I have no idea, but mainly you're gonna find me on YouTube, right? Because I ain't got time for all them other ones. That's too much.
For sure. It is. So, all right, you're gonna give me 3 numbers, and I'm gonna read the question that's connected to that number. So, give me the
Okay.
first number that you got.
All right. Let's see. 28.
All right. What is the worst injury you ever had,
Broke
and
my
how
wrist.
did it happen?
Broke my wrist. Dunking in warm-ups, basketball. So I dunked, but then I came down the wrong way and hit the hardwood floor, and then my wrist, this part of my wrist, touched the floor too. So like this went like that, right? So that was the worst one. I think that was the worst one. I've had one other one that was really bad, but I think that was the worst one.
Oh wow. Okay, I appreciate that. Give me another number.
Let's see. I'll go with
1 through
43.
45. 1 through 45. So you got 43.
43. I'll do
Okay.
43.
What's a secret? What secret have you never told anyone that's funny?
Why would I tell y'all now? I ain't about to tell y'all.
That's the question. That's up to you, bro.
If I'm keeping it a secret, I ain't about to tell y'all on this live.
You see why it took me so long to read it? I'm like, what?
Nope.
No, you gonna pass. Okay, give me
I'm
another
passing on that one.
Okay, give me another.
Let's see, 40. 40. Let's see, 40.
All right, bet. What do you think of your grandfather?
Oh man, you know what's crazy? I find my grandfather passed in 2019 at the age of 99. I found out so much stuff about him at the funeral and from people just telling us about him. This is my mom's dad. I never knew my dad's dad. He died well before I was born. He died when my dad was 19. So, and I didn't come along for another 6 or 7 years. But I found out how faithful he was to his church, how often he was how often he was there, how much he was a prayer warrior. I didn't know these types of things about him. I wish I would have known it earlier. But he commanded respect. Whenever we would go over to his house, he commanded respect. He was very loving, very tender and kind in his old age. I remember one time there were children walking around in his living room, and he was trying to tell them to stop. So he got my attention. They weren't listening to him. He told me, he said, "Michael, you need to tell your children to mind me." And I was like, "Yes, Grandpa." And I told him, I said, "Y'all better listen to my grandpa. Listen when he tells you to stop running in his house." So he told me that. He was like 97 when he told me that. But yeah. So.
Wow. That's what's up. All right. Give me one last number.
One last number. I'm going to go with 2.
Did your mother and father give you spending money when you were young?
Yeah, they actually did. When I went to a secondary school from 7th to 12th grade, and they would always give me money for the week. And that was all the money I got. It was like it went up over time, right? Yeah. As I got older. I don't remember what the final amount. I think it may have been like $25 back then. That was a lot, and I would save most of it, But yeah, they did.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, those are my questions. I appreciate you answering those, man.
Okay.
I know they kind of caught you by surprise.
Oh no, that's fine.
That's what's that secret one back. I never nobody's ever said that number, so I didn't
Oh
even know
wow.
that's what that was said.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I ain't
For
about to
sure.
tell y'all that on the live. It ain't a secret no more.
All right, I got two more. All right.
Okay.
So the second to last one is, which TV dad do you see yourself having similar characteristics with,
Hmm.
past or present?
That's funny. Like, so number one, I wouldn't know anybody present because I don't even watch TV like that. I
Right.
have no time for watching television. Now, I would say back in the day, I would have said Bill Cosby.
Okay.
I would have said that, but then I watched the Cosby Show again, and I'm like, nah, because they made Bill out to be kind of a buffoon that couldn't deal. Like he couldn't. He was like Claire was almost like a second mother to him. And I'm like,
Mm,
nah, that ain't how I roll no more.
yeah.
If I would have to say, I would say a combination between James Evans and because I can get fiery sometimes,
Let's get
and
it.
James Evans and Uncle Phil. I would probably say James Evans and Uncle Phil. Yeah,
That's a bet. That's a good one. That's a good one. A
yeah,
cross between the two. That's what's up.
right.
Okay, and then the last question is, because I want to respect time. And the last question is, what would you or how would you like for your kids to remember you? What would you want them to say about you?
Mm. Well, I think this very very simple thing, and I talk about this with them. Like, what do I want? What do I want? What legacy do I want to leave? Right. The main thing is that I love the Lord. Right, and in so doing, I love them well, like from mom on down. I love the Lord. Like my love for the Lord should be an overflow, and then that love should cause me to walk in His commandments, and that
Mhm.
those commandments should be me loving those around me. Right?
That's,
Yeah. So loving the Lord would be the main thing, and then because He loved the Lord, He loved us well.
that's what's up. Well, I appreciate you, man. This has been excellent, man. Like I feel like we could talk for a long
I
time.
know. If I didn't have this meeting, I wouldn't look. I
It's
got a meeting
okay.
at 3, but other than that, I
It's,
wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind chopping it up with you for a lot longer. This was
yeah,
awesome.
because I had so many questions, but I was, saying, okay, I can always reserve those. Uh,
Yeah,
you
just,
know,
just invite me back whenever you want to have me back on.
that's a bet.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna be having a humble dad workshop.
Okay.
Um, um, I'll keep you posted, but it's gonna be around Father's Day weekend here in the city of Euless.
Okay.
So it's going to be where there's activities first day, and then there's going to be people coming out to teach dad and kid a skill,
Awesome.
like how to change a tire, or
Mm.
how to fix HVAC,
Yes.
stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I keep you posted. I just
All
got
right.
the yes on Thursday from my church, so I'm pretty excited
Nice.
about it.
Nice.
And it was something that my wife knew about. You know what I'm saying? So that's even make it even a little sweeter.
Yeah.
So you got the last words, bro. What you want to say to the people before you go?
I'll just close with my tagline. First, I want to thank you for inviting me on and having this conversation. This is probably one of the best interviews I've ever done. So
What?
yeah, man, this is awesome. Because it was like even though we didn't really know each other before this, it felt like we've been knowing each other for years. And I think that's just because we have the same Lord, right? That's
Mm,
it. Like we're brothers.
that's
Like
what
we're already brothers in the Lord. We're family.
I
So
didn't
that's
even get
why
to get to the other question. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
Like,
I know.
but I'm just saying that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It felt like we were just catching back up or something.
Yep. That's what being in the Lord is all about. Like we're brothers. We have never met, but we have the same Father, right?
Yeah,
So yeah. But I'll just leave them with the tagline. Y'all hear it all. If y'all on my page, y'all hear it all the time. Be on alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong.
that's what. Oh, somebody just came in. Do you want to answer this, or you want
Sure.
to
Let's
wait
see. I
till
have a
next time?
question for each of you, if I may. What do you respect about each other as a father that inspired this collaboration? So I'll say this. I went back and I watched Humble Dad. So when I saw him on the Lapeef Network, and I told him this before we got on, I saw him on that Lapeef Network video when they got their channel taken down. And then I went and, watched some of his videos. So what really impressed me about him was his humility. It's in the name, obviously, his humility, but then his faithfulness to want to do what is right and to help other dads grow. So I saw that kindred spirit in the both of us. And I think like he's probably like a lot more humble than I am, right? Because that's not one of my, most people would not say that's one of my traits, right? That's not. Like I'm working on it,
Me
right? I'm
too.
developing humility. Let's just say that.
That's
But I
bad.
saw and I watched one of his more recent videos where he talked about three characteristics, I believe, of a dad. And then me listening to that, it encouraged me and it convicted me to be more humble, to be more encouraging to my own children. And I was like, if he asked me, I'm gonna come on that show, and whenever he asked. I mean, I tried, and I made sure that I made my schedule work so that we could, so we could have this conversation.
That's a bet. And for me, it was the fact that there was another dad out there trying to do what I'm trying to do, and I wanted to show people, that there are other people that can collab and do something on this particular scale, right? Because it's not
Hmm.
because I'd never seen somebody other than myself doing something positively for dads and
Mm,
trying to highlight what dads are trying to do,
yeah,
and then more specifically from a biblical perspective. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah.
that when I saw him, when I saw, I think you responded, and I said, "Developing Dad." Okay, that's an intriguing name because mine is
Mm,
Humble Dad. So I clicked on it,
right.
went to go watch some videos. I said, "Oh yeah, I gotta holler at this dude." And then when I asked you, and then Rilla, he co-signed you. He was like,
Mm,
"Hey, bro, I can't wait for this one." And I'm like, "Okay, well I say, well, Rilla must be why listen." You know what I'm
right.
saying? So all of those combinations, I reached out to you before really even co-signed, but for the simple fact of that we are two dudes aligned, you know, and that we can give a dope interview or conversation and it's not combative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's us on the same line trying to get to the same destination. We may
Amen.
just attack it just a tad bit differently because of our
Amen.
characteristics.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's it, man. Well, I appreciate you, bro. We out of this piece. Until then, till next time, deuces.